There's been this theme lately with people I've been talking to about talking about the law of attraction and co creation and manifestation, which I see all as the same thing. And then having this feeling like, then if something bad happened to me, it must be my fault, or I'm being punished in some way for something I did. So, I wanted to talk about my view on this because I think it's really important to not get into victim blaming when we talk about the law of attraction. So, I absolutely believe in the scientific evidence as well as the energetic awareness that there is truth to the law of attraction. So, my view on this is that yes, our frequency, so the energy that we are putting out around us that is measurable by science, is impacting the energy around us. So, again, this is a measurable thing. If you feel happy, you have a certain frequency, and that frequency is emanating from you. And then people, animals, even plants are, in fact, measurably affected by that frequency. So that's a real thing that's happening. And when you put out that energy of happiness, other people, animals, and plants feel that and will respond accordingly. So it will make them feel good and they will be more attracted to you. And there's truth to also the energetic field. So the quantum field, putting that out there into the larger quantum field of energy is also like a magnet. So there is this truth that when you put that happiness out into the universe wants to give you more of that. So that's what the law of attraction and manifestation is talking about. And it's also really true if you just think about sociology. If you are happy inside and have expectations that people are good and nice, you're going to walk into a situation with an open heart and with a smile on your face, and you're going to say hello to people. And therefore, people are going to say hello and smile back at you. So there's also this behavioral piece that is very much a science based reality that your frequency will affect your thoughts, will affect your choices, will affect your behaviors, and that will affect the outcome of any given situation as well. So, that all being said, I think it's really important to also look at the truth that bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. So it's not 100% true that every thought we have directly creates a reality following that. It's a good thing too, because people tend to have a lot of negative or scared sorts of thoughts. You know, you can imagine bad things happening, and I think that also is sort of a human nature thing of especially like parents worrying about their children and what's going to happen, if they start driving, right? We have fears, and those fear thoughts, luckily, don't immediately manifest. So when we can recognize a fear thought, it's great to take that thought and send it off to the edge of the universe and blow it up. And so we can release that energy intentionally of something negative or fear based, just because we don't want to be in that vibration and we don't want to invite that into our reality. And again, it's not a linear one-to-one process where every negative thought you have is automatically going to create a negative reality. So I think that we don't want to get into more fear when we notice that we have a negative thought, so that we, are just creating more fear in our system, which isn't good for us in the now anyway. But it's just recognizing those negative thoughts and saying, yeah, I don't really want to be holding that energy. Now, let's look at the truth that horrific things happen to people. Horrific things happen in this reality. And that does not mean those people invited them with their energy or their thoughts or their emotions, because there are little children who get hurt by people dramatically, right? And those little children did not ask for that. They did not put that out there by having a thought that they deserve that, or that they want that, or that they, um, are just putting bad things out into the universe. Those feelings of fear and not feeling worthy happen after a trauma like that, absolutely, but it's not their fault. So I think it's really important to recognize that there are all kinds of traumas that happen to all kinds of people that they did not invite or create with their thoughts, feelings, energies. And when I asked my guides about this and meditated on this, the answer that I received was that there is a path. So we, on a soul level, choose a life, choose parents in order to have certain experiences, in order for our souls to do the growing they need to do. And so, again, this is not victim blaming. It does not mean you asked for it, but on some higher level, there is a soul path where there is a reason for your 3D reality unfolding the way it unfolds, for your soul to grow the way it's meant to grow. And again, it's kind of hard to wrap our minds around this when you think about children being abused, right? It feels wrong. It feels like a very dark, evil thing that happens, which you could argue it is. And for some reason, that is the soul's path. And often people who have gone through abuse as children become healers, become very strong, become very resilient, and do a lot of growth and inner work. So again, they didn't attract it per se, but it was part of their path. And so I think if we think about it this way, that there is a balance between honoring that there is a much bigger picture than we, from our 3D perspective, can see. So we are very small, and it is like doing a math problem with only 1/100th of the numbers when we try to really, I think, linearly try to understand things like this. We just don't have all the information. There's a much bigger picture, and this 3D life is like a movie or a play, they say, where it's a temporary body to have temporary experiences in this way in order for souls to grow exponentially compared to not being in a 3D body. And so when that bad things happen or traumatic things happen to people, we can honor that that is part of the soul's growth and path, and that they're playing that part in this particular play, in this particular lifetime, in order to understand something in a different way, or understand their own resilience or ability to heal themselves and others. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about with this is that there are some things that aren't so clearly good or bad, where we have the idea that they are maybe bad. And again, why did I deserve this? Why is this happening to me? This isn't fair. I didn't ask for this kind of energy happens. But there's an example of this beautiful friend of mine who got cancer, and I asked her what her lesson was, and she told me it was more than a lesson, it was more of a blessing that this happened to her, because her cancer allowed her to really stop overworking and start to allow herself to rest and allow herself to receive. She was a giver, giver, giver. And with this cancer in her physical body, she has allowed people to take care of her. And all kinds of people who always just took and took from her switched roles and energy and have been very generous with her. And it's been a beautiful blessing. And so I love that reality that we don't really know how things are going to turn out. There's a Buddhist story about that as well, with the, somebody gets a horse, and aren't you so lucky to get a horse? And then the kid rides the horse and falls off and breaks his arm, and oh, isn't that so unlucky? But then the people come to get soldiers for the war, and since the kid has a broken arm, he doesn't get drafted for the war, and isn't he so lucky? And these things unfold where we might think something is one way and then it turns out another way. And so I think for me, the bottom line here is don't blame yourself or others for anything bad that happens, because one, we don't know if it's really bad, and two, it doesn't mean they created it, even if it is on their path. And we can balance that with what we have control over, which is our vibration in the now, which again does not mean don't feel your emotions. If you're sad, allow yourself to grieve. If you're afraid, acknowledge that fear, but don't feed it. Don't feed fears or guilt or pain with your thoughts and with your stories. Instead, choose to allow the emotion and then release it as it comes to completion naturally, which it does if you allow it. And then choose to be in a place of gratitude or happiness or joy, so that you are, in fact, emanating that energy out into the world and into the field, which can impact what's coming back to you. Namaste. Blessings.